All right, so welcome back. So now we're going to start looking at section 6.2, which gets into operations, properties, and applications of real numbers. So we're going to go through all the different operations fairly quickly. So hopefully, if you get lost, definitely go back and review the video again so you can pick up what you missed. The first thing we're going to look at is some of the terminology that you use with the different operations. So addition, the result of adding two numbers is called their sum. So sum is the magic word for addition. So anytime you hear that word sum, think addition. Now, there's two rules that encompasses adding integers or adding any kinds of real numbers actually. So either they have signs that are the same or they're like, or they have signs that are different or they're unlike. So if we're adding two numbers with the same sign, add the absolute values of the numbers and make the answer with the same sign. So you're going to first say, okay, I have an addition problem. Both the numbers have the same sign. So I really just kind of forget about the signs for a second, add the numbers together, and then I put whatever the sign was on those original numbers onto my answer. So we're going to see that in action in a second, so bear with me. The second rule says if the two numbers have different signs, subtract the smaller absolute value from the larger and then make the answer have the sign of the larger absolute value. So again, you analyze the problem, say, okay, I'm adding these two numbers together. They have different signs. So now I want to just say, okay, I'll forget about the signs for a second. I'll subtract the two, get my result, and then whichever of those two original numbers was bigger in size, I'm going to use the sign of that number on my answer. Okay, sounds a little confusing, but let's see it in action. All right, so negative 12 plus negative 15. So we're adding, and they have the same sign. So right off the bat, I know that I want to add those two numbers together. So forget about the signs. 12 and 15 is 27. And if we see that they're both negative, that means it's got to be a negative 27. And that's it. So it's really a couple of steps to get to your answer. Let's jump over to B. Negative 13 plus 7. Okay, so now we're adding, but now the two numbers are different in sign. So now the rule says we want to subtract them. So again, forget about the signs. 13 minus 7 is 6. But is the answer positive 6 or negative 6? And it depends on which one was bigger. The 13 was bigger and it's negative, so we want to make it a negative 6. Another way to think of this is money. Money is always a great way to think of these types of operations. If you owe somebody 13 bucks, but you get 7 bucks, and you're able to pay them 7 bucks, you still owe them 6 bucks. So that's another way to think of it. How about this next one? Positive 24 plus a negative 32. Signs are different. So we know, well, I didn't write over here, but I like to do that. Subtract. And here we want to subtract as well because they're different. So let's subtract. 32 minus 24 is 8. And is it positive 8 or negative 8? The bigger one's the negative 32, so it's better going to be a negative 8. How about this one? Adding or subtracting? You called it. We got to subtract. So if we want to subtract them, 58 minus 41 is 17. And is it positive 17 or negative? Now the bigger one is positive 58, so the answer stays positive. All right. 36 and negative 27, different signs. Different signs means we got to subtract. 36 minus 27 is 9, and the 36 is the larger one, which is positive, so it stays positive 9. All right, one more. Negative 20 and negative 47, both are negative. So now we got to add them. So in this case, we're going to get a negative 67. So it's a nice little, way to just document what you're doing in your own mind. So that way, if you look at it again, you say, well, what the heck did I do? Oh yeah, I had to add or subtract. So now, like I said, this is one way to analyze it. You could use the number line. The number line is a little bit trickier, but it's something you could do. So for this one, just for a quick example, if you start at 0, that's the important thing. You have to start at 0. This problem wants you to go to the left 13 units. So we'd have to go to the left 13 units, which puts you at negative 13. But then it wants you to go back to the right 7 units. So now from where you left off, you got to go back 7 units. So that would put you at negative 6. So again, you're not out of the hole. So if you're in the hole 13 and then you climb your way out 7 feet, you're still in the hole. You're still in the hole 6 feet. So that's another way to analyze it. All right, so that's addition though. So subtraction, well, first things first, we got to get our special word for subtraction. In this case, it's difference. So sum we use for addition, difference we use for subtraction. Now, the trick with subtraction is we want to just rewrite it. If we can rewrite it in terms of addition, then we can use the rules for addition. So that's the nice thing. So really, it's just a quick changeover. Now, a way you can kind of see it, instead of horizontally like this, let's look at it vertically. If we have A minus B, really there's two things happening. The subtraction changes to an addition, but then the second number, whatever it is, changes to its opposite, or its additive inverse. Ha ha ha, we do use that. So negative B. So now we have it as an addition problem, so we can apply those rules for addition. So adding the opposite is a way to think of it. So again, if you know how to do these problems and you really don't need all these fancy steps, that's fine. But if you're rusty and you want to remember how to do it, this is the way I would recommend it. Try to show those little bit of extra steps just to help you out. Okay, so negative 6 minus 4. So the first thing I would recommend is change it to an addition problem. So the first number never changes. The second, the sign will change to its opposite, which is plus, and now the number following it is a 4. So the 4 changes to a negative 4. So now we got negative 6 plus negative 4, which we know from our rules we have to add. So that's going to give you a negative 10. All right, let's do it again. So this is going to be an 8 still. The subtraction changes to addition, but now the second number is negative. So if we change to its opposite, it becomes positive 1. 8 plus 1 is 9. All right, so there's a couple of cases there. Let's try the next one. So 5 doesn't change, the subtraction changes to addition. 19 will change to its opposite, which is negative 19. So now we're adding two numbers with different signs, so we gotta subtract them. Well, didn't we have to subtract them right from the beginning? Yeah, I know, it's kind of funky how it works, but that's just the way it is, unfortunately. So if we subtract those, 19 minus 5 is 14, and because the 19 is bigger, it's going to stay negative. All right, let's try one more. Negative 7 plus, and then the negative 2 becomes a positive 2. I mean, eventually you start to get the hang of it, and you don't have to write all these little notes and stuff like that, but until you do, it doesn't hurt. Okay, so this one is going to have to be subtracted because they're different signs, and 7 minus 2 is 5. But it's going to be a negative 5 because the negative 7 is bigger. All right, so let's jump to the next page, which gets into multiplying and dividing. And because we're pretty far into this section, I'm going to stop the video here and we'll pick this up in the next one. So see you in 2 shakes.